Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Charlie State and Naga Munchetty.
Our headlines today. Good morning. It's Friday, November the 27th. Our top story today. Some Conservative MPs are pushing back against the government's plans to impose a three-tier system of coronavirus restrictions on England after the lockdown ends next week.
The allocation of tiers was announced yesterday, but several backbenchers say that the rules imposed on their constituencies are too harsh and not justified by the number of cases. Here's more from our political correspondent, Jonathan Blake.
Thank you very much. We'll spend a bit more time with you a little later on, so looking at the situation more generally in Bristol. Thank you.
We'll spend a lot of time during the programme as well trying to explain the tier system and the reasoning behind that as well the government has offered. Now, Northern Ireland has re-entered a 2-week lockdown. Non-essential shops have closed.
Cafes, hairdressers and beauticians have also shut just 7 days after they were allowed to reopen following the last lockdown. Our Ireland correspondent Chris Page has this report from Belfast.
The Argentine football legend Diego Maradona has been buried in a private ceremony on the outskirts of Buenos Aires.
His death at the age of 60 has triggered a huge outpouring of public grief in Argentina. Tens of thousands of people have queued up to view his coffin in the presidential palace. Our South America correspondent Katie Watson has this report. A blood test designed to detect more than 50 types of cancer at an early stage is to be trialled by the NHS in England.
More than 165,000 patients will be offered the tests from next year. Officials say early detection has the potential to save many lives. Jim Reid has this report. Now, we may be gearing up for Christmas here in the UK, but across the pond, they've just celebrated Thanksgiving. Here are some pictures. Making pumpkin pie just by one splat.
On the Christmas theme this morning very much, Matt is at a Christmas tree farm in Oxfordshire for us this morning. There we are. The evidence is all around you, Matt.
Morning.
Thanks, Matt. We'll see you later.
I wouldn't have picked Matt as the person to talk to about decorating your tree. Not that I don't think he would do it well.
16 minutes past 6. Let's have a look at today's paper for you.
So many sporting events have been cancelled, postponed. We know that because of the pandemic. But here's another reason. The boat race, Oxford versus Cambridge University, is going to take place in Ely in Cambridgeshire rather than on the Thames, which is on this on the 4.2 mile course because some cracks have appeared in the bridge. It's a Victorian
so they can't
structure.
go underneath it.
So they can't go underneath it. So that interrupts the race. So the only reason that the boat race was held outside London, not on the Thames, the only other time, it was in 1944. Because of fears of Hitler's bombs dropping on war-ravaged London. But what inspires me about that is even during war, we talk about all the things that have not happened. Even during war, the Oxford-Cambridge boat race took place.
Well, here's something that did happen, and it happened in, where is it? This is in Sherborne, in Dorset. Okay. So, you know that thing if you bump into someone and they're wearing the same as you, or a very similar thing, and that might happen. So here you go. Here's Sherborne in Dorset, and let's go through who these people are. They are not, fashionistas will notice they're not the same jacket. They're not literally the same jacket.
I don't know the answer to the probability of it, but it is very unusual considering it's yellow, because yellow is not a really common colour for a jacket. Oh, it's a great colour for a jacket, and I'm sure they all look lovely. I do enjoy Fashion Friday with you, Charlie.
Yeah, there we go. Yellow jackets. That's done. 6:20 is the time now. So, despite a dramatic fall in the number of coronavirus cases since last week, Hull still has the third highest COVID infection rate in England.
The city is going to be placed into the toughest Tier 3 restrictions when the national lockdown ends next week. Now, Jane McCubbin has been talking to residents and businesses to find out how they'll be affected.
Of course, throughout the programme this morning, we will be getting more of your thoughts as well about what tier you're in. It's a very localised issue, this. Is that people yesterday had that moment when they looked to see what tier they're in, how it's going to affect them locally. So keep your thoughts coming to us this morning on that.
24 minutes past 6 is the time. 20 years ago today, 10-year-old Damilola Taylor was stabbed to death on his way home from the library in South London.
It was a crime that shocked the nation and for his family and friends. It's a day that continues to bring back very painful memories, as Adina Campbell now reports.
I mean, we've spoken before, haven't we, to someone else who was a friend of Damilola Taylor who came from the same state where he lived. And I think when something so significant as Damilola Taylor's death, a 10-year-old boy, and just that stark hearing that phone call to the ambulance, I don't think he will ever be forgotten, and the conditions around him growing up there as well. So it's the anniversary, of course, of him being killed, and that's being marked there.
Time now is 6:28, which means it's time to get the news, travel and the weather where you are. Four is the time now. So restaurants, pubs, bars and hotels are once again counting the cost of the new post-lockdown restrictions announced yesterday.
The tier system has also thrown up some anomalies in areas like Kent, where transmission rates vary dramatically across the county.
Well, let's go there now. Ben is in Tunbridge Wells for us. So, Ben, what we know already is that there are pockets of the UK, counties, where there are great disparities in how people are being affected. People know this just in their daily lives, people they're in touch with, and yet they're all possibly subject to more stringent restrictions. Take us through the situation where you are. It's time for 11 minutes past 7. We were just discussing in studio this morning, what time is it getting light at the moment? And I was casting my eye where Matt is this morning, which is Oxfordshire. Well, that's not very helpful, actually, that image you're showing us there, Matt, because I was hoping to see the sky. But well done, Matt. Well done.
Thank you very much.
For putting one bauble on a tree. It's fantastic work.
Can I tell the family that's me done for the year then?
Yes.
Time now is 14 minutes past 7. So let's go back to our main story this morning. A lot of people will be digesting the news this morning about just where you live, maybe where you work as well, what tier.
Morning.
How's things, Monty? Now, you've had quite a spectacular few days, haven't you? Tell us, first of all, about the letter. Why did you decide you wanted to...
Very surprised when you got a reply from the Prime Minister. Were you expecting him to reply?
Not really.
Podcast yesterday. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll play it, and then I want you to tell me how Monty reacted, and I will make very clear that Monty's seen it already, so we're not spoiling anything. Lyra, morning to you. Did you choose the music? How did you choose which song you were going to...
People who don't know, Lyra, about your story, about what happened and why all of this is so important to you, can you tell us a little bit about when you were younger and the problems you had when you were much younger? You're going to raise, and I'm sure you'll raise lots, Lyra. That makes it so special for you, isn't it? Because you know that lots of people will benefit.
Lyra loves. What's the inspiration? What kind of things are you listening to kind of choose the music and inspire Lyra? Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Charlie State and Naga Munchetty.
Our headlines today, and this really does go right to the basis of what everyone's asking at the moment. How are these different tiers decided?
When an area is in a tier, how can it go up or down?
Well, one example...
And this really does go right to the basis of what everyone's asking at the moment. How are these different tiers decided?
When an area is in a tier, how can it go up or down?
Well, one example...
On the vast majority of England.
So let's find out now where Labour stand on all this shadow health sector. Now, my apologies. It's one of those Zoom moments, if I'm honest with you, where I thought I was looking at an image that worked because I thought Jonathan Ashworth was listening intently.
Yeah.
And in fact, the image had frozen. So we have one of those moments when that did occur, and we're just waiting to find out if something has changed. I bet everyone's done that at a moment in time. You're still talking to someone and you think they're listening. And
Do you know what I imagine is happening?
Not.
I imagine it's happening as well for Jonathan Ashworth. It's often when you're on that side of the Zoom call, you don't realise the line's gone down, or like from the other end. So he's probably giving his first answer as we speak.
The good news is we've got our best people on the job right now. In a matter of minutes, it's going to be sorted out. But I think at 8:37, we're just going to move along a little bit and come back.
What are we doing? Ah, he's back. He's back. You
Let's give it a
said the
second go.
magicians would work.
Let's see him now.
Funny. Since falling in love with dancing as a young girl, Shirley Ballas has quick-stepped her way to the top of the ballroom, landing the job as head judge on Strictly.
And now the Queen of Latin, as she's known, is looking back at her career in her new book, Behind the Sequence.
Take a look at her journey.